Are we live? Are we live? Did I mess that up in a big way?
I can't even get back on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So sign back out and hit the link again, and I'll bring you in live.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if these guys are even seeing us. If you're seeing us, guys, you're seeing the back room of trying something new on the live stream. Um, so let me see if I can. There you are. Bright Love is back. So we definitely have that going on again. I'm sorry about the screw ups. I'm trying something new with Marcy, which we've never done before. Bridget, hello. How are you? I hope you're well. um, in a second here, we should have Marcy joining us again. Only this time we're gonna bring her in differently. You see me. Good, good, good. Marcy and I had a whole conversation while you guys were not not with us anymore, and that was completely my mistake. Hello, Sherlan and Kelly, Jules. What a great name, Jules. I One of my favorite people, Jules Smith, owner of the Maryland Renaissance Festival. I've known him for many years, and I'm just waiting for Marcy to call back in. Happy Friday to you as well, uh, Jhon and Marcy. Yeah, well, yeah. Much love, many blessings. You know what? It's been an amazing week this week. You can probably hear it in my voice. My voice is raspy. I did a lot of sessions, and hang on, here comes somebody in to join me. I think. Add to left. Guest in green room. Hold on. Assign. Guest one. Add to left. And there she is, Miss America.
Are we on? I don't even know. I can't get on YouTube.
Marcy, you were perfect. I definitely screwed up. Um, what happens is for those of you guys, you probably don't want to know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I have a video switcher here in front of me that's called a Stream Deck, and it does scenes. Can you hear me, Marcy?
I am hearing just things are just repeating itself. So I have to get off of the
Did you take your ears out again?
I didn't have them on before
Okay.
and it was working. Let me try it again. I'm so
Yeah, yeah.
sorry.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. So anyway, so we have a stream deck, and normally when I do the live stream, it goes scene to scene to scene to scene. And what happened was when I went scene to scene to scene to scene, I was trying to add Marcy into the mix, and I clicked a different scene, which ended the live stream. So that's what happened to you guys. I'm going to jump over here to the comments section and dive in. Anyway, did you guys who were online, did you hear me actually say anything nice about Marcy? Because if you didn't, I'd like to repeat all that because it was very eloquent and it's very well spoken of me. um, um, I what am I doing? I'm this way. There I am. There I am. So, Marcy, how's that sound? Are you sounding better now?
I'm trying to get back into YouTube to get back onto your live to see if it's
Okay.
because it's just like a total echo.
Okay. Well, right now you're looking. Oh, is your computer on? Computer volume on?
Yes.
So that would get picked up in your speaker too, in your microphone too.
I don't know how to fix that.
Okay. So we'll just have to. It looks good online. So I don't think it's. I can't hear your echo at all. So it's only on your end. So
Okay.
can you deal with it?
I can't be in the on your live though. I mean, I know I'm here now, but I mean I can't moderate
Okay, well
because I can't get
that's
it just
okay. I'll deal with it.
okay.
You hang with me. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us during our technical issues here. Um, Bright Love. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. For for years, I suffered from excessive fluid around my heart. I took yours and Marcy's advice. The fluid is gone, and it looked like that's so awesome. Congratulations for stepping into that power. and you know, you created your perfect health, and that's so wonderful, so wonderful. Mackenzie, welcome. Streamed, yes, it's a Stream Deck, and it's an amazing tool. I was the one who didn't do it correctly tonight. So, did you guys hear all the wonderful things I said about Marcy earlier? Because I'd like to say them again if possible. Um, moving down. Okay, so let me say this. So I wanted to bring Marcy on because normally you guys talk to her in the chat section on the live streams all the time, and um, Mars, I'm going to say it again. If you're saying yes, Georgia, I'm going to say it again just because. She did an amazing video the other day, announcing her new contest to win two of her private sessions. But the video itself is just spectacular, and I highly recommend that everybody jump over and see it. Go to my community page. You'll see that I put the video in there for people to see. I just think it was absolutely fabulous. And I was just like, oh, I got to share that. So, Marcy, how are you this evening now that you're back on here? And we're just going to go calm and cool from this point on.
I'm just going with the flow. That's the end of the year.
I personally think it's all your fault because I remember you went on Kim Carey's thing and that got screwed up too, right?
Every time with her, it's like our thing.
You have energy, baby. You got energy, and that's what's going on. I love it. Good evening, Kuldeep. It's a pleasure to see you, Larry. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Larry.
So, guys, go ahead and Marcy is here to answer questions as well. So we're just going to keep this as an open forum topic, and we're going to bounce off each other a little bit tonight and kind of share, you know, our different views on things. Because that's the one thing that I love about Marcy is we don't agree on everything, but we just totally, you know, respect each other's beliefs, right? And the fact that we don't believe everything the same, but can still have that sort of understanding. See that, you know, Marcy has found love, and so she's found God in her journey, and so have I. And so I think it's a matter of using that example with everybody you meet. If they're being loving and joyful, then they found their way. You know, so that's pretty darn good. What do you think about that, Marcy?
I agree with that. Once you find love, once you have love for yourself and really love for everyone I mean, even the people that we don't like, that's when you've hit gold. That's when you can see a different world.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You know, and you know the Bible says, "In my Father's house there are many mansions," and I think that's really the key to this is the many mansions in this case is you know the many different ways to God, and so to me I look at it from the perspective of if you know it's like my our friend Leszek, right?
Yeah.
I love Leszek. I love him to death. He's like a brother from another mother, right? From a Polish mother, right? And he and I definitely don't believe the same things because I'm all about simplicity, and I think the law of one is very complex. And so I come at it from the perspective of, you know, that's not my journey, but you cannot deny the man is just a bundle of love.
Like you said, everybody's journey is different. It is separate for everyone. Your journey is this is what I think. And again, just what I think. Because I totally believe in soul contracts because and I believe when I connect, it feels like a lot of people and it feels like a lot of different individual personalities.
Hmm.
Well, is that just me connecting with the collective? Well, yeah, that's where we get all of our
Yeah.
information. That's what I believe. But if I was coming down here, I would be like, okay, I need a plan. This is what I want to do. You come in here, you come in here, you come in here. You're
Yeah.
at a different level. So you're like, yeah, I don't need that.
Right.
Right?
See, yeah. Yeah. But I don't believe in the levels. But
No,
right.
but I mean, you know what I mean. You're
Yeah. I
just
know. I
like,
know. I totally get it. But I don't think we're saying different things because I
no.
believe in the individual sparks of consciousness within the one God,
Mhm.
and so I think it's just really how we're perceiving it. You know,
Absolutely. Everything comes down to perception.
perception, right? I perceive it one way, you perceive it another way. I always measure everything against that line in my first regression where it said, it's so simple we have a hard time comprehending it. So
Yeah.
I literally measure everything against simplicity. And to me, when I studied all these things and all those things over there, I kept finding the simple message in all of them, wrapped around all this convoluted stuff, right? And
The,
and so,
the message is love.
period.
That's it.
Yeah,
I like to make my life a little more interesting.
yeah, yeah. And and
Like,
and, and that's the cool.
even if
That's the
complications
beauty of
required.
this world.
Right,
What we think we become, we create our world, right? That's what the
right.
Buddha said. So it's beautiful that you find it your way. It's beautiful. I find it my way. It's beautiful. The only thing I ever take umbrage with anybody's spiritual belief is if they're trying to force it down to somebody's throat
Yeah.
or scare them to believe the same as they do. That's the only time I. Bright Love would like to know how you got into spirituality.
Who, me?
You.
Um, well, I mean, I always believed, I always felt a special connection with God right from as far back as I can remember. My life took a lot of twists and turns like most people do, and I went down the wrong path at times, just trying to figure out who I have to figure things out about who I am from what I am not. So I
Right.
have to go through all of these different stages to figure out who I am. When I married my second husband, I was already I was already, doing cards, or not professionally at that point, but I was already on that path, going to psychics and making trying to make a connection. And when I married Rich, he just supported me so much in everything that I do. And he was like, we had the pandemic. The pandemic came around. I couldn't work anymore, so I had to stay home. Um, when it came time to go back to work, he was like, I kind of like you staying home. And that gave me the opportunity to really explore things and really get into things. And that's when it really started for me. But he doesn't believe in any of this.
That's
And
cool.
he's just so supportive. He's just like, well, I don't really get it, but, you know, God love him because he puts up with a lot.
But but but
This
you
is a
guys but
lot.
you guys have an amazing love story.
Oh, we do.
It's an
We
amazing it's
absolutely
an
do.
amazing love story. Would you share
Yeah.
it or can you share it?
Oh, absolutely. I first knew that I was going to marry Rich in the fourth grade. We met in the fourth grade. I was the new kid to school that year, and there was this girl Patty telling me about everybody that was coming through the door. And Rich came through the door, and I heard it. You're going to marry him. And I was like, no, I'm going to marry David Wilson because he's cuter. Now, David is my husband's best friend. So, he was the big man on campus in the fourth grade. But so, I mean, we were friends growing up. We used to, a bunch of us used to sneak out at night and walk around the village that we live in, and we'd have to hide from Rich's father because he was the sergeant of the local police force. But we went our separate ways. After high school, he got married. I was married. We were married within 5 months of each other to different people, and we had children within 5 months of each other. He got divorced. My husband passed, and there was all sorts of different things that happened in between there. But one day, I was watching Pride and Prejudice, and I was really mad at God because I deserved a Mr. Darcy.
Mm.
And and I said, I really got mad, and I was like, I deserve that kind of a love. I have always tried to be good, and I listed all the reasons why I deserve this. And then I said, if you've got somebody, you better send it soon because I am so done with this. 4 days later, I got a phone call while I was at work from Rich. He said, hey, it's Rich. I'm in town. I'm coming over your house tonight, whether you like it or not. And I was like, okay, come on by. We went out. He was driving me home. He was living in Missouri at the time, but he was actually in town because his mother was rather sick. And we were driving home, and he said, I've loved you for 30 years. I'm coming back in 2 weeks, and I want to see you again. And I was like, okay, sure. He came back a week later. 2 weeks later, we were engaged. 6 months later, we were married, and we just celebrated 15 years in February.
Yeah.
But it was just, I've always wanted the fairy tale story. I always believed in the fairy tale story, and that's exactly what I got.
That's
It
so
was,
so
again,
beautiful.
manifestation, people.
Yeah,
Just put
yeah.
it
And
out there.
you started in fourth grade. Look at that crap.
Can't hear you.
I am marrying him. God's name, marrying him. You just didn't say when.
I can't hear you.
Or he's going to marry you one way. You can't hear me? Marcy can't hear me. She signed out. Okay, I'm gonna jump over. Um, hopefully she'll come right back in. Um, it was absolutely a sweet story. I love the fact that her story is so so beautiful in regards that even in a young person is creating their experience. And once again, that in that story, I love the idea of the saying denying that it's happening, right, and saying I know I'm marrying him because he's cuter, and then it shows you how you can create something and then get it in its own way. I love that story. I love that story. And now we're going to add her back in here again. Um, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, good.
So sorry.
If we don't stress. It's all good. If it happens again, we'll just keep going because it's Marcy Leighton on here, and I love Marcy Leighton. Um, everybody's talking about how great your story is, Marcy. How romantic it is, and it is. Where's my cursor? There it is. I have so many screens on right now, and my cursor jumps from screen to screen, and I got to find it. So we are still live. Yes, good. Okay. So anyway, guys, we are here to answer whatever questions you have for me or for Marcy. And once again, let me say, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to her channel. You know, get your chance to get a free reading when she hits 2,500. 2,500. 2,500.
I know,
I
right?
remember when you were like, I'd like to get to 1,000. Right.
When I was first on your show, I had 28 subscribers.
Oh!
28.
I saw something in you, lady.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Okay, so Esteveo. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I like the name a lot. Esteveo. Do you believe that after we leave this life, we remain basically the same, living in worlds similar to Earth, or do we enter into a hyper conscious state with much greater awareness and understanding? I'll let you go first on that one, Marcy. What is your thought on that?
We go right back to source. We
Yeah,
go right back to that. It would be a hyperconscious state. We
yeah,
would be able to manifest, like
yeah,
instantaneously. That's what I believe, that we go
yeah,
right back to source.
yeah. I wanted you to go first because I've had three crossing over experiences. And so for me, having three crossing over experiences, my experience is very defined as what I think it is, but it's still coming through my consciousness, right? So like the people who believe in hell and think they've done bad things in life will often see hell, when they cross over too, right? But then
Yeah.
usually what happens is if they stay in for a long time, they transition through their earthly beliefs and they come to this other space. And this other space, I will tell you, it's an indescribable pure love. And you're in this, and you're aware of everything around you. You're aware of the people around you. You're where you just have a broader awareness of everything, and from all facets, which is the coolest thing, is because you you have this connection where you're just like, I understand their point of view. I understand my point of view. I understand how it all interplays. I understand. It's really very interesting. That's the experience I had. Now, somebody else might have an entirely different experience, but the three times that I had the experience, it was literally like being in a pool of love, and it was not. It did not have physical form of planets and Earth, and did not have that sort of thing. It was a freedom of not having the physical. It was really very interesting to me. There was a visual. I could see like the white expanse, and people would come into that expanse, but it wasn't like vast everything. But what do I believe? I believe in the simplicity of life.
When I had my experience, I call it out of body rather than near death, but I
Yeah.
was four and I was being operated on, and I watched them operate on me.
Mm.
And I remember holding the hand of someone who was really tall,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
bigger, bigger than my dad. And to me, my dad was, the largest person I had seen up to that point. And I remember feeling behind me, but I didn't look behind me. But I can remember the feel of what was behind me,
Yeah.
and I don't really remember much else other than that.
Yeah. And there's
And
a
then
lot.
a couple of days later, I had a visit from my from a ghost, and that was my grandmother's brother who had passed. He came while I was in the hospital. I was in a sterilized room because they did reconstructive surgery
Right.
on my face, and I was alone in the room, and there was thunder and lightning. I was frightened, and all of a sudden there was a little boy there, and it was a couple of years later that I looked was looking through my grandmother's photo album, and I saw him
Oh.
and recognized him. So
Wow.
yeah,
So yeah, I love it. I don't think there's time really. I don't think I don't think time. I think it's all every. It's the oneness has everything in it, and
right.
so you're tapping into. Here's an interesting question, Jhon and Marcy. What's your favorite place you've ever traveled, both in the U.S. and internationally?
My favorite place is right here in my yard.
Ah, that's so
We,
awesome.
it is. We have almost 3 acres in a small village that most plots are. We have one of the largest plots. It was my husband's family's farm,
Hmm.
and it's just rolling hills and lots of oak trees, and it's like a sanctuary. My husband puts water out all over the place for the animals and food out all over the place, and we just sit there on the porch. He's actually going to be out of work for 4 weeks because he's having carpal tunnel surgery,
Hmm.
and we are just looking forward to just being on the property with the dogs, walking the dogs around, feeding the animals, just taking care of it. Just that's my favorite place.
Yeah.
Second to that was Stonehenge.
Oh yeah. I've never made it to Stonehenge. I really want to go to Stonehenge.
I went to school in South Ealing. I went to Ealing Tech, which is where Freddie Mercury went to
Oh,
school.
look at you.
I walked the same hollowed halls as
As
Freddie.
Freddie Mercury. Hmm. Greatest voice that there ever was. Greatest voice there
He's
ever was.
incredible,
Yeah.
incredible.
So for me, traveling, um, I am very much a homebody, and most people don't think I am, but I am. But I am not going to have the same answer as Marcy. My favorite place is Assateague Island, Maryland, and the reason it's my favorite place is because I have a Jeep and I can drive 10 miles down the beach. And in the dead middle of summer, when everyone's packed on the beaches in Ocean City, Maryland, and all the beach resorts, I can sit on the beach and not have a person a half mile in any direction. And the only people that the only visitations I get while I'm there are the wild horses walking by.
Oh,
And
oh,
I get
that's
down there
heaven.
and I just love the solitude and the horses and just being in that space. And I also like driving my Jeep on the beach, which is fun. And as far as internationally, it's a tough call for me because I've been to 30 countries, but the two experiences that, of course, Egypt was a massive experience for me. And there's a video on my channel as to why that was a massive experience for me. It's called The Story I Wasn't Going to Tell. If you look at that
Oh,
video,
yeah.
you find that. But my favorite place, just in feeling it, and this is going to sound really weird coming from me, considering my past life, was Rome. I I loved Rome. We got to Rome. We went to an outside cafe and had a 9 course meal that started with a bowl of fresh cherries, and, and we sat there and drank wine, had a great time, and then we got up. We started walking. Back then, I had a decent singing voice back then. I used to be a part of an a cappella group called the Acapellers, and we were walking the streets, and it was me and my son's mother, my girlfriend at the time, and we're walking through these beautiful old buildings, and I decided to sing Ave Maria, and
Oh,
I'm singing Ave Maria, and it's echoing through the buildings, and it's like this, and we come down to the Trevi Fountain, the famous three coins in the fountain,
yep.
and there's 100 Italian college kids sitting around the Trevi Fountain singing American doo-wop.
I
Now,
love it.
I was part of an a cappella group that did American doo-wop, right?
Right.
So I went over and I just stood by them and I started singing, and then they're like, it brought me over, and I sat there at the Trevi Fountain for about 2 hours singing American doo-wop, and it was just a magnificently beautiful, wonderful experience.
One night in England, I had met this guy. He was from Milan. His name was Cabrini, and he took us into like some of the after night clubs that we didn't really know about because it was,
Uh,
and a bunch of Americans that went over for, just for a semester. And I just called to say I love you came on.
oh,
Everybody in that place was singing, and
mm,
that was one of the most beautiful
I just
experiences.
called to say I love you. Love that song.
Everybody, it was awesome. That was really,
Awesome. So here's one from Amanda. If a prediction of Marcy's didn't happen in the time predicted, does that mean I missed out on that, or it could still happen at a later time?
when I read the energies, it's based on what is happening, where things are going right at this moment. And that can change due to free will. You might miss an opportunity because you said no to something. I would say it's my belief that it always comes back. If it's meant for you, it's always going to come back for you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
my belief. So
uh,
so
I,
sit still.
I think when you're manifesting something, if it takes a long time and you suddenly say why it's not happening, you've halted the process forward because you now don't believe it. You've lost your faith. So it's a matter of going, well, okay, it is happening, and just get back on the track. It's like the story I talk about when you're in the restaurant, you order tiramisu. I love tiramisu. It's great. Right? You say, "Hey waiter, I'll have some tiramisu," right? And he heads off to the kitchen. If halfway to the kitchen you say, "Why isn't the tiramisu? Yeah, give me ice cream instead." You're going to get ice cream.
Right.
Right? But if you want
Yeah.
tiramisu, you got to hold on to the tiramisu until you hold a tiramisu in your hand, and that's really
That
the key.
I just had that conversation with someone the other day, and she knows who she is, and she's probably in this room right now.
But I
But
can guess.
you have to hold on to the belief
Yeah,
that it's coming.
yeah,
And every time you start to question, you've got to say, "Nope, this is
right.
coming."
It's exactly
And
right.
it
And what's
it
really
will.
interesting about that statement is it gets so much easier after you've seen manifestations happening because then you stop even care. You just begin to know. I jokingly say all the time that I treat my world like it's my own personal Amazon.com. I just put my order in. I don't care how it gets to me. But the thing is, I put the order in. I don't think about it again until it shows up on my doorstep.
I also believe that if you think about it and try to say, well, it would have to happen this way, if you try to figure out how it would happen,
Yeah,
that also solves it
yeah.
because
Well, and
it's
think about
going to
what you
happen
just
in a way you never thought it would.
well think about what you just said. The word "how" means it's not happening in the present moment, and
Right.
to manifest, you have to believe it's happening in the present moment. And so,
Well,
and I say I don't think it's like the guy who says I'm winning the lottery. If he doesn't believe it, it's not going to happen. He can say
right,
it all he wants, right? But he could say I am receiving abundant income, and then chunk it down to a smaller level and build faith up to a bigger number later.
right.
He can manifest what he can believe. But a lot of people get stuck on the concept that there is size in the infinite, and there isn't any size in the infinite. There's
Hmm.
30 countries around the world, or an Allen wrench that I lost and I manifested back into my experience.
Yep.
Same process, same thing.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
But what I try to tell people, if they're like, I don't know what I want, I don't know, you don't have to know what you want. Just be excited about the possibilities. Because when you're excited, you're declaring that you know it's happening. It's like
Yeah.
you get excited. It's Christmas is coming when you're a kid because you
Yeah.
know Christmas is coming.
And be
So if you're
grateful for it
excited
coming.
about the possibilities, you're telling the world, I believe it's coming. And that
Yeah.
just pulls it right into you.
Absolutely. I do want to answer this next one here. Um, do you think watching you could connect us to Jesus, God's source, in a deeper way, or spark a person's own divinity to wake up per se? I don't think there's a hierarchy in any of this, myself personally, and I think the pathway is always within you, not within anybody else. So saying that you're saying, "Well, I connect to Jesus, God, or Source because I'm talking to you," that is kind of antithetical to what that guy taught, because he was all about when you seek a path, the path is laid before you, but until you turn the path back to yourself, you never find the doorway. So you got to come back to this idea of realizing that everything he taught, everything Buddha taught, everything Krishna taught was about self empowerment, not about the middlemen in between us and God. In fact, it was exactly the opposite of that. It was like there are no middlemen between you and God. You and the source are one, and it's a matter of you stepping into that connection of source. What's your thought on that, Marcy?
I agree with that, but I would also add to that that if you can feel the love that Jhon and I are always putting out, that is your connection right there.
And it's found
That
at the bottom of every breath. It's found at
yeah,
the bottom of every breath.
yeah.
You have to understand when you exhale and relax every muscle in your body, that is a truly present and fearless moment.
Hmm.
Truly present and fearless moment. And no fear can exist in perfect love. Fear is the veil. The Sufis said that the our life is a struggle against the veil, and the veil is our fear. And so you get yourself fearless and present, which is the only moment you're ever conscious. You can't go to the store next Thursday right now. You can only go to the store right now, right? So you get fearless and get present, and you have touched the source. You want to really feel the truest, most beautiful connection to God. Find the funniest joke you can ever hear and laugh as hard as you possibly can. A laugh is a joyful exhale. It's a present moment, fearless moment. And if you can just you the somebody said to me the other day, "What books do you recommend, Jhon? What books do you recommend, Jhon?" My response was, "I suggest comedies because you're never closer to God than when you're laughing."
I totally believe that. And this house is always filled with laughter.
Awesome.
We we all have a good sense of humor. We're always doing silly little things. I left a I left a message on my husband's. You know how you can record a text message instead of typing it out?
Hmm.
My husband and I do this thing where we deliberately sing off key. So you're going to have to forgive me for this, but we always sing the same song. And it's, and I love you so. Olay! And that's what we do silly things like that. My daughter will walk out of the house and she'll scream, I love you. And we all scream back, we love you too. And the neighbors must
That's so awesome, though. It's
it
so
is.
wonderful. It's so
It
great.
is.
I love
You
it.
know, people my neighbors ask questions.
So here's a question. Jhon and Marcy, how did you discover each other, and what do you like about each other? Well, I don't like much about her. Okay.
First of all, Larry, every time I see you, I'm like, Larry, because
Larry!
I just feel I feel a special little connection with you somehow. But do you want to go ahead with this
No, you
or
go ahead because you
okay.
came into my experience.
I had a session with Jhon, and it was to me, it was like immediate. As soon as his energy came up, I was like, it just hit. As a matter of fact, I had told my mom afterwards, I'm like, I'm not done with that guy. I was like, I just know that there's something more that's going to happen with this man. And yeah, we just started talking, and that half hour, I had paid for a half hour, and it went by, and you were like, don't worry about the time. Let's just keep talking. I'm enjoying the conversation, because we were talking about our different beliefs, and we were showing respect and still making that connection. But I just felt an instant connection with you. And I've got to tell you, Jhon, there are some times when you talk to me where it doesn't feel like it's you talking to me. It feels like it's coming from somewhere else. Correct
I
me if I'm wrong on that.
I appreciate that. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I had a okay. I'll tell. This is a good story to tell online here. Many years ago, I was working the medieval fair, and I had a guy who was really, he was a great guy. He was a Kundalini yoga and all this stuff. And there's another story I tell about him about how sometimes the most loving thing to do is be the consequence. But this is actually a different story. He came over to me, and he really, his sister had had a serious heart condition and was a pediatric surgeon herself. And he comes to me, he says, Jhon, I'm thinking about killing myself. He says, because I'm doing nothing with my life, and I can donate my heart to my sister. And I, I had a long talk with him, telling him about what he could be giving to the world, what he could be giving to the world, and I don't even know what all I said, right? And that's a lot of my conversations are like that. I don't know what all I'm saying sometimes, right? Right? I just blah 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 blah, right? It just all comes out, and at the same time, there was a young woman who had just broken up with a really big, long relationship, and I was helping her overcome her grief of the relationship. Well, that afternoon, I had a little tiny Airstream travel trailer, which was the coolest thing ever, and I'm napping in my trailer, and outside of my trailer, there was a hammock between two trees, and I'm sitting there in my trailer, and I hear Michael walk up. And I forget the woman's name, and she says, Michael, you look like you were having a bad time earlier. Are you okay? And I'm lying in the bed, and I hear Michael say, yeah, but I came and talked to Jhon, and sometimes talking to Jhon is like talking to God. And and I'm sitting in there, and that was a pivotal moment for me, because I realized that I am bringing information through, even when I'm just talking,
Yeah.
And recently, my friend Holly told me she was walking around the medieval. It was last summer, walking around the medieval fair, and she ran into a woman, and the woman said, "How's Jhon?" Well, she says, "Well, she's back doing all his spiritual work. He's doing the YouTube." She says, "Oh, good." She says, "Because years ago, he and I took a walk down a back road. I have no memory of this at all, right? Right?" He says, and he said things to me that just changed my life forever, and I have no memory of it. Right? So the more I speak my truth, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
The more I speak my truth, I find that the truth comes through me. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
And I do the same thing. I don't remember half of what I tell people,
yeah.
because it just comes in and it comes out. It's
Yeah,
like there's not a filter there.
you watch some of the live streams, and if you go back and watch the older ones, there are strings in there where I'm going blah 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 blah. That's not me. That's totally not me. I don't talk that cleanly. Right, right. It was just the words coming so fast, so smooth, so quickly. It's like when I do those private sessions and I sit down and I write. It
Mhm.
comes in slowly and easy, and I'm being very careful with my cursive. By the bottom of the page, it looks like utter crap because I'm playing catch up.
Oh, yeah, I mean, well,
There you go.
it's
There
like
you go.
all over the place. It's just
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same with you, Marcy, and I'm sure it's the same with um, um, uh,
Kim?
Kim and anybody in here has said the right thing at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has said the right thing at the right time. And that is when the source is coming through you because you're getting the clarity to say the right thing at the right time. And it's a matter of recognizing that we all have the ability. You know, I,
Yes.
I find for me personally, the more I strip away of my belief, the more I get down to that simplicity, the clearer I get. The clearer. I wish I could tell you the session. I'll give you the synopsis of a session I did yesterday. Halfway through the writing, it says something like, "Yea, verily," and it starts speaking in Elizabethan language. And it's like
Yeah.
blah 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 blah, and it's like all this stuff, and it's like live on with your life, and it's all this stuff, and at the bottom there's this obvious biblical quote that I had no idea what it was, and when I wrote it, I always write an hour. I always write an hour before I do the session. I wrote it. I just took it and I plugged it into the internet and found out it was a Saint Andrew quote. I've never quoted Saint Andrew in my life. I don't know his work. So the lady comes on, and I start reading. The top parts vary, talks about grief and all this stuff. And then it goes, yea, verily, blah, 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 blah. And it's this whole big Elizabethan thing. And then it does the St. Andrew quote. And I come to find out she was a Renaissance Festival person who also did SCA. Her husband, who had died, Andrew, had was did SCA stuff with her as well. And the message at the bottom said, I come with you confidently and joyfully.
Oh,
And so it was like in that moment, you kind of get goosebumps, right? In that moment, it's like you realize that you're actually getting something that's profound for somebody. And I believe that the work that I'm doing is designed to do exactly that. It's not about me at all. It's about helping people make the most of their present moment and go forward and find their own divinity, right?
yes.
And
Yeah.
so that was the video I made. What was it yesterday? I talked about the one thing that's stopping you from enlightenment. Maybe that was today that went out. I forget. But if you watch it, I mentioned a couple of people in my video who had sessions with me, or one who had a session and one who was debating not having one. And it was like this. It was a very interesting exchange, but it always came down to, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to predict your future. I'm not going to be the guy who's going to do any of that stuff. I'm going to be the guy who's going to help you in the here and now.
Honestly, that's what most of my readings are.
Yeah.
The cards distract me
Mm.
to get me to that place, but it's amazing how
Yeah.
significant the cards are. My biggest ability, my greatest ability is what I call my fairy godmother love. I can love on anybody enough to get them to believe that they're worthy of anything that they desire. If you're on the ledge, I'm your girl. I will talk you off of that ledge. You'll be dancing by the time we're done. It's just that is where my gift really lies, is I can see why people do things. I can see the cause of those things at times. Not specific, like I couldn't tell you the exact experience, but I could
Right.
say I had somebody and I said to them, right around this age, like 10, 11, 12, they had an experience where they felt this. And the woman told me, absolutely.
Right.
That's when such
Yeah.
and such happened.
Yeah.
It's just,
And what's so cool about that, Marcy, is that yeah, you use your cards or whatever, but it's you are consciously saying, I am doing this. I am reading for this person. I am bringing something good for them.
oh yeah.
And so that's a creation. That's a manifestation. I am creating this experience that empowers them. Right. Most people don't know this. When I came back to this work 2.5 years ago, I had said, thank you, God, for the opportunity to help people all over the world step into their divinity. Right. Last week I spoke to New Zealand, Serbia, Cambodia, uh, Peru, and a bunch of people in the States, right? I did 600 sessions last year. And every one of them, I haven't had one who's come back and said it was terrible, right? Right. I usually get a pretty good response from them. So I'm great with that. So to me, it's like, what did I ask for? I asked for helping people all over the world. And it came to
That's
me
what I
not only in a way to help people all over the world, but a way for me to honor my own desire to be an introvert in my own home. So
yeah.
I get to speak to everybody all over the world from my house, and
Yes.
and you people have never seen my pants. Ha ha ha.
That's one
Georgia,
of the things,
Georgia, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you very much.
one of the things that I say before the readings is, well, before I even get the person on Zoom, I always say, thank you for using me as the tool to get your information to the information that this person needs.
Right.
And that's it. That's it. But I'm telling you, I listen to music beforehand, and I do these little things. I Reiki the room, and I bring light and love, because to me that's kind of setting up it's kind of like setting the table before a meal. It's preparing. It's letting people know that I'm getting ready to receive,
Yeah.
and that's how it feels to me. And then as soon as I sit down and turn on my music, and I'm dancing, I'm trying to get my energy up, and then I start getting clues within the songs that are being played. And
Yeah.
I'm writing
Yeah.
those down. And then things are popping into my head. One day I kept like straightening everything up. And I said to the person, for some reason, I'm just like, everything in its place, everything in its place. And she was like, oh, well, I was a Marine and you had to have everything in its place.
Oh,
And,
oh, there you go. There you
stuff
go.
like that. And people, I think, because they haven't had any near death experience, or because they haven't seen a ghost or whatever, they think that they don't have the communication. They're not recognizing that they've been communicating the whole time.
Yeah.
It's about realizing that if it's not a coincidence, if I'm trying to figure out what kind of car I want, and I hear somebody in the grocery store talking about a Subaru, and then I turn the corner and somebody else is talking about a Subaru, and it's not an accident.
Right. Right.
Even Einstein didn't believe in coincidence.
Right.
That's communication.
Right.
If something pops into your head, well, it popped in from somewhere.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
those tiny.
Julie says that we read the trajectory of energy. And I agree with that. I think
Yeah,
that we read where the motion is flowing at that moment.
exactly.
But there's always free will to change. There's always
Right.
you might hear something you don't like. You always have the free will to change it, or you may lose the faith that it's going to happen, like someone said earlier, and stop the momentum. Right. So that's that's pretty accurate. I think there. Here's an interesting question. Have you met in your sessions people with extremes and severe cases of anxiety, like since they were children? If attempting, where's that, to stay in the present moment, is attempting to stay in the present always the single and best advice?
I just had someone I just read someone who had extreme anxiety. And we talked through that. And the present moment does help. But what also helps is going back to, usually from my experience, if somebody's having anxiety, it's a thought from the past that comes back and just keeps repeating, I should have done this, I should have done that type of a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
I always suggest to go back to that moment and step out of the emotion of it. Take, like for me, if I have a childhood memory and it's, something that caused me fear, remove the fear.
right,
Look at the facts of the situation and see what you may have learned from that situation.
right,
Once you take away it's not about the experience. It's not the experience that's the problem. It's the emotion that you attach to that experience that
right,
causes the
right.
anxiety. So you have to step out of that and just look at the facts. Just
Right.
the facts, ma'am. Just
Right. Right. Right.
for you
and
Dragnet fans out there.
fear itself is nothing but an emotional reaction in the present moment. That's all it is.
Yeah,
But it's always an emotional reaction to some past experience with an expectation that a negative thing will happen in the future, right?
right.
So the more present you can get them, the more likely they are to be able to exhale because they're no longer processing from a negative thing ahead of them or a trauma from the past. For myself, many of you know, I had a father who wasn't very kind to me, and going back and revisiting didn't help me at all. What helped me was saying that part of my life is over, but now I'm doing this, and actually starting with that clean slate.
Yes, that helps me as well. But
Right.
there are times when something keeps popping in. And if it keeps
Yeah.
popping in, then I'm like, okay, I've got to deal
Yeah.
with this.
See, and when it keeps popping into me, that means that's a subconscious belief. That's a subconscious mind coming in.
True.
And the way you overcome the subconscious belief is to start listening to what you're saying, like you said. Listen to what you're saying, and then break the cycle of the negative belief. The thing about fear and breaking subconscious belief is trust is developed by results over time. And you've got to have moments that aren't anxious or in
Right.
anxiety to be able to develop a trust that you can be without anxiety. But I will tell you this: my best friend Tim, who many of you heard me talk about, his name is Efthymios Lazaros Kouvas,
The pizza guy.
or a pizza guy, right? He has suffered recently from severe anxiety attacks, and he gave me a phone call. And Bright Love, you're gonna love this. and Bright, she said, I'll bet they say exhale. Right? He called me up out of the blue. He said, Jhon, I just wanted to call and thank you. I go, why? He says, I was having a full blown severe anxiety attack, and I kept hearing you say exhale. He says, and I exhaled, and my anxiety went away.
Yeah.
And the thing about when I say exhale, the thing that people don't miss about the exhale is when you consciously choose to exhale, that means you are firmly present. Because you can't the conscious mind is the present mind. The subconscious is the past, right?
Hmm.
So when you actively choose to exhale, you're very present. When you exhale, you're releasing the primal response to fear. So you're bringing yourself back to that state where you can go, okay, this feels better than anxiety. And then it's a matter of saying, okay, now stack as many of these positive present moments together so
Right.
that you can develop a trust. Now, trust is developed by results over time, like I said, but science says somewhere between 21 and 60 days of repetitive action creates habit. And fearlessness is a habit. Fearlessness is a habit. So you have to create the habit of it, or the subconscious fears will be invading all the time.
I always tell people live fearlessly. There is
Yeah,
nothing that can happen to you here
right,
that can diminish who you really are.
right.
This is just human form. This is just a meat wagon.
Exactly. I jokingly say the fear response of storing air in our bodies is a primal thing from the Neanderthal times, right? But it's probably not likely you're going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger anytime soon. So there's really no need to suck the air in and hold it anymore.
Well, it's true.
um, let me jump down. And we've kind of answered this question already, but I want to just say this. I don't remember the last time I murked somebody.
How, oh,
Me, I don't mean to call you out, Maria. That's just funny. That's just funny. We met each other because Marcy had an amazing reading with Jhon, because that guy is incredible. That guy,
yes,
you
it
just
is.
can't believe how incredible this guy is. And I sound like somebody else when you can't believe how incredible this guy is. Yeah, and I mean, I never did say my side of the meeting Marcy story. So let me tell you my side of the meeting Marcy story. So Marcy comes in, does the reading. We hit it off. We're just joking, laughing, smiling a whole bit. Somehow along the line, we got talking about her doing her own readings. Was that in the session? Was it about that?
I had said to you that I thought that I've always felt like I was supposed to be doing public speaking engagements.
Okay. Okay.
And you told me to put it on my business cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Did
that
you?
wasn't getting anywhere. So I kept hearing YouTube, YouTube, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why Spirit made me do it. I was like,
Yeah.
if you want me to do it, you got to get me there because I'm not there.
Right.
And
And
all of a
then
sudden,
and
one
then
day I was
something led me to somehow we got to talking about YouTube, and you got on, and I showed you all my camera setups, and I showed you all that stuff,
You
right?
had told me you had sent out something that about a reading that you had and how it had helped that person.
Uh-huh.
So I sent you an email saying you had encouraged me to do public speaking, and now I'm doing a YouTube channel, and that's how
Yeah.
that started.
And so then we got on, and we did another thing where you and I just I just showed you my YouTube setup and I advice on YouTube,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And there's something about Marcy. Marcy just is a bundle of love. Now, people who know me well, and Marcy knows this now, when I when I really think somebody's pretty special, I have a little phrase. Marcy, what's my phrase? Do you remember it?
doll baby.
She's a doll baby, right? Marcy's a little doll baby, right? When I say someone's a doll baby, that is not in any way masochistic or any misogynist or
Misogynistic.
right. What it is I when I say someone's a doll baby, it's how they make me feel. It's like I feel they're just so great. I don't see a negative. I don't see a negative in the person. And so when I say someone's a doll baby, it just basically means I just really like that person. I really love that person, right?
Yeah.
And so I had told Holly that Marcy was a doll baby, and so we started talking, and then she started saying she was doing the readings, and I was like, well, let's help you grow it. Let's help you grow the YouTube channel. And then we started helping Marcy grow a YouTube channel, and look at her
Yes.
now, 2,500's coming up.
Oh, it's
Awesome.
been it is it's very exciting, but it's slowed down a lot. And of course, once numbers start slowing down, you start thinking, have I reached my peak? But then I'm like, no, I haven't.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have not reached my peak.
yeah.
I'm in it to win it.
In it to win it, baby. In it to win it. Uh, Maria, thank you for sharing this, answering the Estevios. I wish I want to know how to say that name. This is how breath work and exhaling once again a choice to be present helped her with her anxiety. And Bright Love said the same thing as well. Uh, Laughter is medicine, someone says. Let me go.
Yes.
Brittany, hello, Brittany.
Hey,
There you go.
Brittany.
I haven't seen Brittany in a while. She
I
says hi,
know.
Jhon and Marcy. Um,
Yeah.
heartbreak. Today at work, I keep telling myself to exhale and be very present and very fearless. Exhale. um, so you guys understand. You're probably hearing how far back we get in the comments. Because if you look what's on the screen over there, and you look where we are, we're way up in the because we can only do them as fast as we can. Maria says, when I write from my heart, someone always says they needed to hear that. Source works through us all, and that's
Yeah.
super humbling. And it's absolutely true. Every one of them. My son at 6 years old said, Daddy, God told me he's in everything and everyone, and we control the God part inside of us.
That is so beautiful.
Amazing. I mean, and you
You know
think
what my
about
son, you know
what?
what my son said to me when he was 6?
What?
We lived in a house that was owned by a boxer, a former boxer,
Uh,
and it was a very very old house. And he came down the stairs one day and he said, "Mom, I do believe I just saw an apparition."
I
And
do
so,
believe. I do believe. I love language stuff like that.
oh my god, he's adorable.
Uh oh. Georgia says she saw me in tights. Hang on. So Marcy, are you good at manifesting?
I have become a lot better at it.
Yeah.
a lot better at it. I mean, there are times, I mean, here's the thing, and I hear a lot of people say this: when you're trying to manifest something really big, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of things that I'm still preparing for.
Right. Right.
Let's put it that way. I'm still preparing to receive these things.
When I was overseas, no, no, go ahead. Finish your story. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just that's it.
Okay, so when I was overseas, I had a guy over there with us doing the USO show, and he hurt his shoulder in the middle of the tour, and I'm looking for something while I'm telling this story. Um, he hurt his shoulder while he was doing the tour, and um, he said, "John, would you work on my shoulder?" I said, "Sure." So I came over and I just laid hands on his shoulders, and I was guiding him through healing himself and doing that. And halfway through the session, something told me to touch his left knee. So I reached across to the other side and I laid my hand on his left knee and I just kept going. I just do what I'm told. That's all I do. Right.
Right.
And and we finished the session and he says, "Why'd you touch my left knee?" I said, I was just doing what I was told. He says, "Yeah, but you didn't know I had a bad left knee." I said, "Yeah, I just do what I'm told. That's it. I don't judge. I don't question it. Right." And he says, "That's crazy, right?" So about a week goes by, and we're still on the tour. And in the middle of the tour, um, I said, "Dan, how's your shoulder?" He says, "Yeah, the shoulder still hurts." He says, "But I've had this kind of injury before, and I know it takes time." Right? And then I said, "How's your knee?" He says, "It's healed."
Yeah.
Right? Right? Because he had no belief about what the knee was. I wanted to share this just for Georgia.
I gotta tell you, I love that picture.
Look
It's
at
the
those
look,
tights. Look at those tights.
but it's the look. Look at that look in your eye.
Damn right. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that sweater. That's when my chest hair was black and thick. Now it's gray and wispy. That's crazy.
We're all getting older.
We are all getting older. So let me jump back over here. Book Stout just said I should get some merch that says, "You people have never seen my pants."
I would wear that shirt.
I love it. I love it. See, I'm jumping down. Oh, Bright Love, boy, you're spot on. This whole saying hi to everybody. That's so great. Thank you for being such a beautiful part of this community.
She's
Oh,
so great like that all the time.
yeah, we
Yep.
should we should, we should help add her onto the team and help administrate. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me know if you're interested in that, Bright Love. Email me at john@johnofnew.com. And, we'll make that thing happen if that's possible. Um, I can imagine. This is a silly question, but if I can manifest anything, why can't I manifest good grades, good health for me and my family, etc.? Well, I'm gonna work this backwards. You don't manifest for other people; they manifest for themselves. You just give them the ability to manifest for them other stuff. But if you go back to it is a silly question because I can manifest anything. Why can't I manifest anything? You're actually literally saying that you can't manifest anything, which means nothing's going to happen because you've just chosen to say I can't and believe you can't. So you can try to start a manifestation, but if you lose faith and say I can't, that's why 90% of the world doesn't meditate or doesn't think they can meditate. They
Right.
go, "I'm quieting my mind. I'm quieting my mind. Did you put gas in the car? Ooh, quieting my mind. Quieting my mind. Did you turn the stove off? Ooh." About the fifth or sixth time they say, "I can't meditate. I can't shut my mind off." The people who get good at meditation are the ones who go through that exact same process and they keep going until the quiet times last longer.
Yep.
It's the same thing with manifestation. Like we said this earlier, you have to hold the belief until you hold it in your hand. So I hope that makes sense.
And we all have the ability.
Yes.
There aren't certain people that are just blessed. There aren't certain people that are just getting because they're God's favorite. No, 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 no. We all have this ability. This is our connection to God.
What we don't realize is that we are creating in every moment of every day we're
Mhm.
just not conscious about the creations we're creating. And so you come
Exactly.
back to being conscious. This is an interesting question. I'm going to let you go first on this one, Marcy. Have you met someone with almost empty head in their sessions? No thoughts, no visions, just blank empty space, just some weird feelings, emotions from body from time to time, but no data.
I have never had that experience.
I just had this experience. I just had this experience, and it was this woman who really believed that she was a higher spiritual being than everybody else. And she came on, and I was like, "So what are you creating in your life?" I don't need to create anything because I am everything. Oh yeah, so I'm like, and everything was all about this. I am everything, so I don't have to do anything. I said, "So do you create momentum to do anything in your life?" I am everything, so I don't need to create momentum. And it was an hour of me her telling me. She said, "Why am I talking to you?" I said, "I don't know. I have no clue. You're the one who set it up. You're the one who felt you needed to hear it." So my hope is that later on she'll hear what I did say, because I did have a profound message for her that was written beforehand. But oftentimes, and this is what I talked about in that video today, oftentimes people won't hear because they're so invested in what they've chosen that they won't hear any other possibility.
But you planted the seed,
Yeah, and
and
that's the
that's
key.
the important thing.
That
You
is the
get that
important thing.
seed in there, and eventually it's going to bear fruit.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Bright Love wants to know where you got your title for your channel.
Because I did not want to do a YouTube channel, and they kept telling me, I just followed the nudges. They kept telling me, this is it, this is what you got to do. Kept getting the signs that that's what was supposed to happen, but I didn't want to do it. And I said, you got to get me there, because I don't want to be there. I don't want to do this. So that's what it is. Spirit made me do it.
I
Didn't
love
want
it.
to do it.
I love it. I love it. Sleep paralysis. I actually did a video on sleep paralysis. You have any thoughts on sleep paralysis?
I have never had that experience.
Hmm.
It sounds terrifying to me. Um, I would have to really sit and think about that. That's
Yeah.
not something I've spent a
Yeah.
lot of time
See,
with.
I think of sleep paralysis as a disconnect between consciousness and physical. I think it's like being out of phase. And I'll tell you why I say this. I used to practice out of body experiences, and I used to practice astral travel, and I used to have these weird moments where the alarm would go off in the morning, and I'd reach over to turn off the alarm and realize I forgot to take my arm. And I got to come back, get
Yeah.
my arm, put my arm connected, and go back and get it. Right. So, and what's interesting about that statement is that when you're not aware that you can get out of body, when you're not aware that your body disconnects, then you can have these moments where you're disconnected from the body, but you can't physically move it but the first word in here is sleep. They're in a different conscious state, which
Right.
is not of the physical. And the physical really is just an illusion of our belief. And so when we have that moment of just, I can't move my body, well, you're declaring you can't, so you can't, of course. But you're also in that moment, if you would just literally let go. When I had my Kundalini Rising, the first one, my very first one, I'm bringing that energy up my body, and then I'm trying to force it out the top of my head. It wouldn't go. Right? Right. And I heard the thought relax into it. And when I relaxed my consciousness, I went right out of body. So we get into that fear state because it's unknown. When we slip into the divinity of saying, I am leaving my body, I am, and when we have, negatively focused uncertainty is a really good definition of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get something being in an uncertain moment, not understanding what's going on, and having fear. And fear is the great paralyzer. It keeps you from being able to move.
Mhm.
So when I look at sleep paralysis, I see it as a disconnect of the consciousness and the physical. But I also see in that situation, they're having a fear response to something unknown. That's my take on it.
Yeah. No,
Whether
I makes sense. Makes sense.
whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. But that's the story I'm telling. I do more in the arena of public speaking through live selling. I run into uncomfortable and unconscious wounds within. If I'm not super good, the best, or really successful, I'm not doing it. This is you're worried about the perfection, not because of the the outcome of the speech itself. You're really worried about them not loving you.
Yeah.
So you're coming from this perspective of they're not going to love me. I go up on stage and I make all kinds of mistakes and I laugh at myself on stage about them. Like
Yep.
Marcy and I were doing technical stuff and we were laughing the whole time through that, right? We did. It wasn't perfect, but it was perfect too, right? It was
Everything's perfect.
what it was, right? So it's a matter of once again staying very present and knowing I'm not going to be afraid of what anybody else might say.
I did live selling
Oh,
before, and I get it because that's if you can't sell yourself, then you're not selling anything.
right,
And sometimes the fear of that can absolutely take over. Just don't worry about what other people think. Just it doesn't matter what they think. What they think is really none of your business. Just
right.
get out there, and just be the beautiful you that you are. And obviously you have some talent or you wouldn't be in the field that you're in. Just trust yourself. Love on yourself. Trust yourself. Get out there and live fearlessly. Don't worry about what they're thinking.
Yeah. And we're all part of God, and no part of God is less worthy than any other.
Yeah.
So you got to be equal with your love. And I'm going to take this moment to have a commercial break. This guy would like to heartily thank you doing a private session with Jhon because it was an amazing experience. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. I just thought that would be funny to do it that way. Thank you very much. Um, uh, yeah. AMC, welcome, welcome, welcome. Your first time catching a live. We're going to end here in just a few minutes because we've gone long. I know we started a little bit late because of our technical difficulties, but you know, I'll be 60 in a couple weeks here, so I have to go to bed soon. um, yeah, I kind of like having Marcy on here talking with me sometimes too, because she's pretty
Thank you,
good.
Britt.
Yeah, it's good stuff. See. I'm zipping down to see if I can get the comments or questions so we can finish this out in a logical way. No, nothing for certain. That way you remain open and teachable. That's Georgia. Thank you, Georgia. I agree.
My
I
girl.
Jo- Bruce Lee used to say, be ready, but not um, rigid. Be ready, but not rigid. And I just like that kind of idea of it.
Yeah.
I love this question. Do we need to meditate if we're happy all the time? Isn't meditation meant to quiet the mind? But what if it's filled with good and happy thoughts anyway? Meditation is unnecessary for anything.
Yeah.
It's a choice to do it or not. Meditation is just a modality, it's a technique, and there's no need to do it. And I think if you're joyful and happy all the time, you're already in meditation.
You do
Because,
you, boo.
yeah, do you, boo?
Do
Yeah.
whatever feels good for you.
I love that. You do you, boo. um, Jumping down. Hello. Hey, Tritarch. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Bobo! Bobo! And now, because look at that picture, now we can actually call you Bobo Natali. That's the Italian Santa Claus, buddy. You look good. Uh, Maria says, I'm glad neither of you said that I was the person in the session you were talking about.
Oh no. I love
uh,
Maria. Maria, we need to do coffee, girlfriend. You don't
yeah.
live too far away from me.
Okay, jumping down. I'm like a trapeze artist, want to be watching you guys swinging from the high platform above, just gaining my courage to try some of these things myself, just trusting that internal voice like y'all do. Uh, um,
Do it.
yeah.
It's so
Trust
much
is
fun.
yeah. No trust is formed if no risk is taken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
just
it's so much fun. Just follow that nudge. And then
Yeah.
once you follow the first one, just be thankful for it. And then just follow the second. More and more and more will come to you. Do it.
And I will say this, Georgia, I agree with you. 60 is the new 40. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I was talking with my sister the other night about the songs that were playing the year you were born, and I was born in 1964, baby. My year was the Beatles, and
Yeah.
it was like crazy, right? Um, Denise, this is so weird that you would say this to me today. I just got an email from somebody saying that her cats and her dogs, every time they hear my voice on the screen, they come over and chirp at my voice.
Yeah.
And then when she turns it off, they complain that it's been turned off. And I was like, oh, I'm talking to the animals now. I'm Dr. Doolittle. It's great.
It's that energy.
uh, jumping down, jumping down, jumping down, jumping down. I did not see your question. How to deal with people anger towards people who have wronged you. Your anger is your fear of them disrespecting love in your life and not being loving to you. So it really comes down with you releasing the fear. Understand also, if they've wronged you, they've done that out of fear themselves. And
Right.
so when you recognize that's what's the fear? Why would they do it? What's the fear they had that made them wrong you? Sometimes it'll be they wronged you because they were worried they didn't have enough money. Or sometimes they wronged you because somewhere back in their past someone made them feel less powerful. So wronging somebody else makes them feel powerful. So there's always a reason why. And if you can think about it from they wronged me, okay, that old, what's the old adage? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? That, and it comes down to I just whenever when it happens, I go, okay, that's the way it is. I had a friend of mine years ago, an actor, who we were doing a festival together, and I was passing the hat doing shows, and he was staying in the house I was staying in, and I counted out all my money to take to the bank, lots of ones. Which, by the way, if you ever have a job where they give you lots of ones, there's so many great jokes you can do about being a male stripper. It's awesome, right? So I count all my money, get ready to make the deposit. I leave the room, I go in the other room, I come back out, I get to the bank, and my deposit is $60 shorter. Now I know the number was right, and I know he took the money, right? So I love the man, and I know the only reason he did it because he would never have done it if he wasn't in desperate need, because he never would have done it. I ended up um, I had a car that was given to me that I was driving, and I had just bought a Jeep. I still had the car, and I told him I'll let you pay it off. Well, he never did, right? And finally, it was like at one point, I never got mad at him. I just understood he was in a rough place. He was struggling with his own fears and anxieties. Many years later, he contacted me. He says, "John, I'd just like to talk to you." I said, "Sure." I said, "I'd like to get the money for the car." And he said, "Oh, okay." So he started sending me money again. But it came down to money is just an energy too, and
Hmm.
and being treated poorly is an energy from their own base. So the way you let go of the anger is let go of your fear of not being loved and go that way. What do you think, Marcy?
First of all, I always recognize that when somebody's showing you anger or they're being disrespectful or nasty or whatever, they're telling you how they're feeling. Has nothing to do with you
Right.
whatsoever. And holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. It doesn't do them any harm, it does you harm.
Right.
So really just realize that whatever they did towards you was a reaction. It had to do with them. It didn't have to do with them not caring about you.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And understand that everybody you're talking to wants to be loved unconditionally. And I gave someone some advice, and she's about to give you the result of it right here, right now. Jhon, I said, no matter what you do or say, I will always love you to my mom after not talking for years, and our relationship has been loving ever since.
Awesome.
So that to me is beautiful. That line, the first time I told somebody to do that, it was many years ago. She had said she was ending the relationship with her mother. And I said, before you end a relationship, the next time you get together and you're butting heads, you exhale. Say these lines. Well, no matter what you do or say, I'll always love you. She says, I can't say that. I said, why? She says, I don't feel that. I said, give yourself permission to say it, but not think it until she gives you a reason. Didn't see her for about 6 months. She ran up, hugged me. She says, Jhon, I have the best relationship with my mom now. I go, why? She says, we got together, we were fighting. I said, Mom, no matter what you do or I exhaled, right? Mom, no matter what you do or say, I will always love you. Mom broke down crying, said, I love you too, and they've had the greatest relationship ever since. The reason this is because everybody wants to be loved unconditionally, but in that situation, no one was giving it first.
Right.
So you have to give it first. So, Brittany, thank you for sharing that. I love that. I am going to wind this up here now, guys. I know we're probably not going to get to everybody's questions that are left. Oh, good. But we're coming to the end anyway. Thank you for the birthday wishes I saw in there. You guys have a lovely, lovely evening. And thank you, Marcy, for being here. And,
Anytime. My pleasure.
It was absolutely lovely having you on. And stick around. I'll talk to you right after we're off of this thing. So,
Okay.
Good night, guys. Have a great, great night. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at jhonofnew.com.